Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm about to show you is something that we've seen over the past month. I want to highlight what the leftist gun-controlling policies are doing to our population centers. I've created basically a mashup of the 2 or 3 things that happened in the last month that show and highlight the issue is not our Second Amendment rights. The issue is not the rights that we so cherish. The issue is criminal and restorative justice and the left progressive policies. This one you're going to need to send out because it puts together a really good overview of what's happening to our civilization and our population in our country. And we're going to fix it right now. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this organization. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. Now, what we're about to cover is really based on leftist progressive policies, restorative justice, new bail reform, things of that nature. That's actually why we started the new podcast, In Politics General. We're taking the two-way fight, and then we're walking right into the politics general because they're using the same tactics against us that we've seen in our area in the general population. And I need you guys to tell me what you think. It's linked right down there. If you could provide me feedback, completely free, of course, I would love and value your opinions to help it get better, to take our message mainstream. And thank you in advance for that consideration right down there in the description box. All right. So far, beautiful people, we've had a really rough month with violence and crime, and I'm going to start playing something for you that started about a week ago when this started leaking out, 3-4 days ago. This came out of New York. Now remember, New York's the exact same place where the restorative justice and the bail reform and all the stuff that Hochul took flack for in March about the cop getting killed, that's coming up at the end. But here's what happened. This is what occurs, and I'm going to kill the audio on this, basically describe what's going on. So what you're seeing is a 16-year-old who cracked a 68-year-old woman's skull outside of her church. He had been arrested and released 9 times before the brutal attack. She is laying on the ground, unconscious. He's rooting through her stuff and her pockets, and then he sprints off with her being I believe it's a severed skull. Okay. You're talking about someone who's been arrested 9 times in a city where you just had a cop get murdered by someone who had served time and was a felon and was out on bail for a gun charge. You've got the subway systems going down through step by step National Guard and more police presence because of no crime, even though there's crime. All of this occurring in a utopian no crime zone. It's obvious what's happening. Here's a few more of the things. Just 3 days before the attack I just showed you outside of the church, Javon Prince had reportedly mugged a 50-year-old woman and stole her car. Prince was arrested 2 other times for assault and has been charged with 6 robberies. Thanks to progressive policies, this woman's head was busted open. It was. This is exactly what's happening. He picked on a 68-year-old woman and pushed her off concrete stairs, a 16-year-old kid. He's been arrested how many times? Let's see, 2 other times for assault and been charged with 6 robberies and arrested 9 times total and released. This woman should not have had this happen to her. The other woman, the 50-year-old woman who stole her car, should not have had her car stolen, shouldn't have been mugged by a 16-year-old kid who should have still been in jail. New York, Kathy Hochul. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to show you. Then I'm going to show you something from last week. We covered this when it happened. This is a cop that got killed by this individual in Memphis, Tennessee.
Also learning a lot of new information about this young man. His nickname was Rusty, the officer, Joseph McKinney. Right. We're also learning new information regarding one of the suspects just released on no bond less than 1 month before this shooting.
So here's what we know. District Attorney Steve Mulroy has identified the deceased suspect as 18-year-old Jalen Lobley. He was arrested March 5th of 2024 for stealing 2 vehicles. Lobley was found asleep in a stolen car with a loaded weapon with a Glock switch attached.
Now, Mulroy says he was not responsible for releasing him, ROR. He says a jury commissioner did that down at the jail.
Released on his own recognizance, which means there's no consequence. You go do what you want. They put a curfew on him. Don't worry, guys. They got this. That's in Memphis, Tennessee. That's in a red state, in a blue city in a red state. New York is a blue state and a blue city. Are you seeing a theme here? The theme is restorative justice and leftist progressive policies, which are letting more and more people out when they have charges just like you just saw. In the Memphis case, you had a Glock switch. That's a federal violation of a machine gun conversion. You had stolen cars, was a grand theft auto, and found in the car with that same machine gun. Out on bail, killed a cop under a month later. Are you starting to catch a theme here? This is the reason I started the podcast, Positively American, because we are going to change this from the inside out. We are going into the belly of the beast, and we can do it together, but we have to use the existing examples of what they've brought against us in the gun world into politics general. That's what we're doing. We're going to change it. We're going to fix it. But this cannot be more of a stark example. Check it out right down there in the description box. I need your reviews, by the way. This is absolutely insane. But now, let me remind you what happened in New York prior. I mentioned to it in the first story. NYPD officer fatally shot during traffic stop. We know all about that. That was Officer Diller. Here are the two criminals who killed him. Rivera has been arrested by the NYPD 21 times, including for 9 felonies, police said. He was released from prison in 2021 after serving nearly 5 years for criminal sale of a controlled substance. That would be drug deals. He was locked up for assault in 2011 and released in 2014. Jones has an ongoing criminal case in Queens. Records show Jones, 41, was hit with the weapon charges in April 23, and he was out on bail and was due back in court on Monday. This is Mayor Adams, one of the people responsible for this thought, this idea, this approach. Not passing the laws in the state legislature, but for propagating this exact same idea and set of, I guess the best way to say it would be moral reforms or ethical reforms or just restorative justice. Here's his quote. April 2023, less than a year, gun charge. He's back on the street, Adams said. This is what you call not a crime problem, but a recidivist problem. Problem. The same bad people doing bad things to good people. Less than a year, he's back on the streets. And that's where I really wanted to wrap this up. These are the exact same people who are telling us that our gun rights are the problem. The fact that we have access to guns that are part of our constitutionally protected rights, that's the problem. Well, right there, when it comes down to them getting their bacon on the fryer, all of a sudden it's, well, the recidivism rate is just so insane. And the legislator did these stupid things with bail reform, and judges and DAs have discretion, as Kathy Hochul said. It's none of that crap. What it is our civilians and our citizens being put in danger by a change to the judicial system through basically reforming through justice, restorative justice, which is fancy talk for redistribution of criminal penalties, because the exact same concept as redistribution of wealth, redistribution of justice, they're just trying to rewire the entire dang thing. We're going to fix it, but we need to start drawing a very clean contrast to this. First one, New York, 68-year-old woman. Second one, Memphis, Tennessee, 18-year-old kid killed a cop. And the third one was from March when a cop was killed by 2 felons in a gun control state, in a gun control city with a gun, and they're felons. We can turn this around, but we have to approach this differently than just bringing you the bad news, getting us upset and getting us emotional. Because we have to pair that with action. The action that we're taking is we're going podcast general, Positively American. We are taking the things that we've learned from these gun controllers and applying them to other leftists, and we will win if we do it together. But this is a good start. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. And please check out that podcast, Positively American.